So we're continuing to talk about resiliency, and this is the resiliency results that you are going to see after you take the results. So let's talk a little bit about each component of it, right? So this I got this test from my dad's practice. My dad's a hypnotherapist, and so he had a working version of this resiliency test, and I took it from that. So the latest development in the field of psychology and psychiatry might have a different rendition of it, but I think this test still gets a pretty good job done when it comes to evaluating resiliency in all these different areas. So, uh, there's three big areas, right? One is self-control score, and one is the interpersonal relationship, and one's the positivity. And there's some statistical averages, and you sum all those scores up, and then if you're over 221, you're pretty damn resilient, and then you're tough, and if it's like 190 180-ish, then you have some ups and downs, and under 170 is like it might be some time to really reflect upon why our resiliency may be so low, right? And in terms of self-control, it's emotional control. Can I remain calm under pressure and stress? Or when pressure and stress comes, my mind kind of molds into the shape of the pressure. The pressure and stress gets to dictate how I think, how I act. That kind of an impact is emotional control. And the urge control is when urge happens, right? Oh, I feel like eating a pizza, or like, oh, I feel like taking a nap, or if somebody gets on my nerves and man, I want to punch this person, and if you can't really control those urges, then might not be all that great for you in terms of stability in your life, right? And also, when you don't have the urges, how well do you generate the urges so that you can act upon things yourself? So that's what it means by the urge control. Cause analysis is like we look at the things that happened, and then we look at the situation that we're in, and instead of looking at it constantly like a problem, instead of looking at it as a like, oh man, this sucks and I'm subject to this really bad situation, how much of an ability do we have to consciously look at it from a positive perspective and look for solutions? Because this situation, no matter how hard it is, no matter how harsh it is, there has to be some kind of a solution to it. So this kind of analysis is done by the self-control score portion. And the interpersonal relationship score is like, of course, life as a solo mode exists, but life tends to be lived with other people. So communication is around, hey, when we talk to other people, how are we with genuinely forming connections and maintaining them? So when we meet people, right? Are we just like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm doing good. Okay, all right, see you next time. Or are we like, oh yeah, last weekend I did this and it was really fun. What did you do? Oh, that's nice. And even after you form those connections, how long does it last? Do you sometimes put in the effort to call other people first? Do you catch up with other people intently? These are things that you can check out in the communication area. Empathy is I think empathy tends to be a little overrated, but regardless, when we are interacting with other people, it generally tends to help if we are more social, right? We are social animals, we are social creatures. So when a person is expressing an emotion, it can be beneficial at times to be reflecting upon them and witnessing those things. And the thing is, why this whole section of interpersonal relationship matters a lot is with when the scores for these communication, empathy, and expands how deeply you feel connected to other people. When this section of the test is low, then you might be fine as a monk living in the mountains by yourself. But when other people constantly have to interact with you, then it is at that point your resiliency might not be activating all that well. So we want to be looking at the resiliency both in a self-contained way and in a social way. So that's the greater context behind the interpersonal relationship score. Positivity score It's composed of three parts: optimism, satisfaction, and gratitude. So half glass full, half glass empty. If we generally, the more resilient we are, the more optimistic we tend to be. It's not necessarily like correlated, but it's just a general trend. Satisfaction tends to make you a little bit more resilient because whenever something bad happens, you can still look at what you have and be grateful for it, right? And I say it's an index of satisfaction derived from things that you do well instead of criticism about things you don't do well. And gratitude is kind of implied in the same definition, and this portion of the test will cover basically these three dimensions of positivity. So that is a general sense of what you can expect out of the resiliency test that I talked about in the previous video. Again, the link for this, it will be available in the descriptions below.